Ravenswood Manor, an imposing Victorian structure, sat atop an isolated hill, surrounded by a dense forest. The mansion had a dark reputation. It was said to be cursed, and that the spirits of the former owners, the Ravenswood family, still roamed its halls. The story begins with the arrival of Emily, a young writer who purchased the mansion at an incredibly low price, hoping to draw inspiration from its macabre history for her next novel. Soon after settling in, Emily began to notice strange occurrences, whispers at night, doors that opened by themselves, and the constant feeling of being watched. Determined to discover the truth, Emily started investigating the mansion's history. She learned that the Ravenswood family had suffered a series of inexplicable tragedies. The parents were found dead under mysterious circumstances, and the children disappeared without a trace. The villagers believed the mansion was possessed by a vengeful spirit. One night, while exploring the attic, Emily found an old diary that belonged to Eliza Ravenswood, the youngest daughter. The diary detailed the terrifying events the family had endured, mentioning a malevolent spirit called the Shadow that tormented them. Convinced that the spirit was still present, Emily sought help from a local medium. Together, they performed a ritual to confront the spirit. During the ritual, the shadow manifested, revealing itself as the vengeful spirit of a former servant of the family, unjustly accused of a crime and executed. With the help of the medium, Emily managed to free the wronged spirit, bringing peace to the mansion. However, the shadow left one final warning. Those who profane the truth will face the same fate. The mansion was finally freed from its curse, but the warning echoed in Emily's mind, leaving her ever vigilant against the dark secrets the world may hold. The Black Lake, surrounded by dense forests, was known for its calm, dark waters. However, a sinister secret was buried in its depths. The nearby village had been the site of a series of unexplained disappearances over the years. The most recent was Sarah, a young biology student researching the lake's flora and fauna. The locals whispered stories about the water spirit, a vengeful ghost of a young woman who had drowned in the lake centuries ago. They said she lured her victims into the depths, where she kept them trapped forever. Mark, Sarah's brother, refused to accept that she had simply vanished. He decided to investigate on his own. With the help of Anna, a childhood friend and experienced diver, they began exploring the lake, searching for any clues. During one of their night expeditions, Anna felt a strange presence and saw a ghostly figure in the depths. Frightened, she quickly surfaced, but Mark was determined to continue. They discovered a submerged diary, which belonged to a young woman named Eleanor, the same woman from the local legend. Eleanor's diary revealed that she had been murdered, and her body dumped in the lake by a jealous lover. Her spirit, unable to find peace, was seeking vengeance. Eleanor began communicating with Mark, guiding him to her remains at the bottom of the lake. Mark and Anna organized a final expedition to recover Eleanor's remains and give her a proper burial. During the dive, they faced numerous challenges, including terrifying visions and attacks by invisible forces. Finally, they managed to retrieve Eleanor's bones and conduct a dignified burial. By doing so, Eleanor's spirit was finally freed, and the disappearances stopped. Sarah was found in a nearby cave, alive but traumatized. Black Lake returned to its usual calm, but the legend of the water spirit was never forgotten. In the small town of Rosewood, there was an old house that everyone avoided, known as the Murderer's House. It was the site of a series of brutal murders that occurred decades ago. The house had been abandoned ever since, but people claimed to hear screams and see shadows moving inside at night. Jake, an investigative journalist, decided to write a series of articles about the house's history and the crimes that took place there. He moved into the house, determined to uncover the truth and possibly find a connection to a recent unsolved murder case. As he investigated, Jake discovered that the murders had been committed by a serial killer who was never caught. He used the house as a hideout and place to carry out his gruesome crimes. The victims were usually young women, and the killer seemed to have a specific pattern. During his stay, Jake began to experience supernatural phenomena. He heard voices whispering his name, saw shadows lurking in the corridors, and found messages written in blood on the walls. Undeterred, he found a diary hidden in the attic belonging to one of the victims, Claire. Claire's diary contained vital clues about the killer's identity. She described suspicious encounters with a man who seemed to know too much about her and her friends. With this information, Jake began connecting the dots and realized that the killer might still be alive. One night, Jake was attacked by an invisible force that tried to kill him. He managed to escape and, with the help of a local detective, set up a trap to lure the killer back to the house. During the confrontation, Claire's spirit appeared, guiding Jake to the killer's hideout. The killer was finally captured, and the spirits of the victims found peace. Jake wrote his series of articles, revealing the truth behind the crimes and exonerating the innocent souls. The murderer's house was finally demolished, but the tales of terror continued to haunt the town of Rosewood. The Bloody Forest, named for the reddish color of its trees' leaves, was a place avoided by the villagers of Blackwood. Dark stories of people who mysteriously disappeared after entering the forest had been told for generations. Thomas, a young adventurer, decided to ignore the warnings and explore the forest in search of answers to the disappearances. Days passed without Thomas's return, and his sister Clara feared the worst. Determined to find her brother, Clara entered the forest, carrying only a lantern and a map drawn by Thomas. While exploring the forest, Clara began to feel a strange presence, as if she were being watched. Whispers echoed among the trees, calling her name. She found an abandoned cabin that seemed to be the meeting place of the disappeared. Inside the cabin, Clara discovered old journals from other explorers who had vanished, all mentioning a dark figure called the Guardian. At nightfall, Clara encountered the spirit of one of the missing, who told her about the forest's curse. The Guardian, an ancient shaman betrayed and killed by the villagers centuries ago, had cursed the forest to capture the souls of those who ventured there. Clara knew she had to free these souls, including her brothers, to break the curse. Guided by the spirits, Clara found the place where the Guardian performed his rituals. She would need to destroy the amulet that contained the curse's power. When she confronted the Guardian, Clara was attacked by shadows and terrifying visions. With the help of the spirits, she managed to destroy the amulet, freeing the trapped souls. The forest began to change, and Clara found Thomas, exhausted but alive. The disappeared were freed, and the Bloody Forest returned to its natural state. Clara and Thomas returned to the village, where they shared their story, warning the villagers about the power of ancient curses and the importance of respecting sacred places. The Delmar Hotel, an old and luxurious hotel built at the end of the 19th century, had been abandoned for decades. Rumors said the hotel was haunted by the spirits of guests who had died under mysterious circumstances. Sofia, a young architect tasked with renovating the hotel, was skeptical of the stories, but eager to restore the building to its former glory. As the renovation work began, Sofia and her team started noticing strange phenomena. Footsteps echoing in empty corridors, whispers in the dark, and fleeting glimpses of ghostly figures. The hotel's atmosphere grew increasingly oppressive, and some workers refused to continue. Determined to uncover the truth, Sofia found an old diary hidden in one of the hotel rooms. The diary belonged to Jane, a guest who had mysteriously disappeared during a stay at the Delmar. In the diary, Jane described disturbing encounters with a mysterious man and how she and other guests began to disappear without a trace. Sofia learned that Jane and other guests were being held captive in the hotel by a malevolent spirit, a former employee who had been unjustly accused of theft and hanged on the premises. His vengeful spirit trapped the souls of the guests as a form of revenge. With the help of a medium, Sofia organized a ritual to free the trapped souls. During the ritual, the vengeful spirit manifested, trying to stop the ceremony with terrifying force. Sofia faced the spirit, using Jane's diary as a guide. At the climactic moment, the souls of the guests appeared to assist Sofia, confronting the vengeful spirit and weakening it. The medium completed the ritual, freeing the souls and purifying the hotel. The oppressive atmosphere lifted, and the renovation was finally completed. The Delmar Hotel was reopened, now with a new history, free from the shadows of the past. Sofia's story became famous, a tale of courage and determination, proving that even in the darkest places, light can prevail. On the outskirts of Willow Creek lay an ancient, forgotten cemetery, shrouded in mist and surrounded by withered trees. The cemetery, dating back to the 18th century, was the final resting place for many of the region's early settlers. Recently, graves had been desecrated, and human remains mysteriously disappeared. Detective Marcus, known for solving unusual cases, was called in to investigate. As he explored the cemetery, he discovered strange symbols carved into several tombstones, symbols he recognized as part of necromantic rituals. Marcus uncovered that a secret cult devoted to necromancy was using the cemetery for dark rituals. Led by a powerful necromancer, the cult believed they could control the dead to gain power and immortality. The symbols on the tombstones were part of a spell to resurrect the dead and bind them to the necromancer's will. With the help of a local historian, Emily Marcus found records of early settlers who had faced the same cult centuries ago. They had managed to defeat the original necromancer, but now the threat seemed to have re-emerged. Marcus and Emily infiltrated the cult, witnessing gruesome rituals and the resurrection of the dead. They realized the necromancer planned to conduct a grand ritual during the full moon to achieve ultimate power. Determined to stop it, Marcus and Emily gathered intelligence and devised a plan to strike. On the night of the ritual, they confronted the necromancer and his followers. A fierce battle ensued between the living and the dead. Emily managed to destroy the enchanted objects that bound the dead to the necromancer, while Marcus faced the cult's leader. With the aid of the resurrected spirits who turned against the necromancer, Marcus and Emily succeeded in defeating him, ending the cult once and for all. The souls of the dead returned to their eternal rest, and the cemetery returned to its peaceful silence. The town of Willow Creek celebrated the bravery of Marcus and Emily, reminding everyone of the dangers of the occult and the importance of respecting the dead. The forgotten cemetery became a place of remembrance and reverence, free from the shadows of the past.